In today's video, we're checking out the BougeRv 200 watt solar panel against Renogy's 200 watt solar panel, which this is the 9BB version, meaning 9 bus bars in each one of their cells, providing more voltage in a compact unit, versus the Renogy solar panel only having 5 bus bars in each one of their cells. So we'll see which one does better. But when fit and finish comes to play, the BougeRv definitely takes a win right off the bat with its high gloss finish, versus the Renogy solar panel having more of a matte finish that doesn't really provide as much high gloss, but that's not really that big of a deal anyway. Both of these solar panels are brand new out of the box, so they haven't been in the sun yet, so there will be no 20% of the degradation process that has been in effect yet. And after receiving these are what you're going to see is just a little pamphlet inside the Renogy one asking if you're satisfied or unsatisfied, versus the BougeRv comes with this manual that actually gives you useful information like all of the specs of the panel and even some wiring diagrams for parallel and series and more. So now we'll compare the specs of both of these panels, and we're going to put them up on the screen, but I do need a little bit more information like the square area of each one of these panels. So we'll measure on each one of them the inside of the frame and we'll put them up. The BougeRv comes in at just about $30 more at the time of this video, but it's also more compact. When looking at the specs of the panels, the Renogy panel has a higher open circuit voltage and also voltage and max power, but the BougeRv has a higher short circuit current and also a max current power that's a little bit higher. Both of these are Class A panels, and the max system voltage is 1000 volts for the BougeRv, but the surface area is a little bit higher on the Renogy panel, meaning it may do a little bit better. We'll take a look at the construction of the junction box on the BougeRv first, and then also the Renogy. Now as we take a look, the solder joints in between the diodes look pretty good, and also on the bus bars, and they do use a crimp connection versus solder. Now as far as the type of wire that's being used, I actually took a razor blade to scrape away a little bit of the coating, and as you can see, this is tinned copper. And now we'll do the same thing with the Renogy junction box, and both of these do have a waterproof cover on the back. As we take a look at the solder joints, honestly, I think the BougeRv looks just a little bit cleaner, but overall they're pretty close, and these utilize crimp connections as well. And again, I scraped away a little material so that you can see that this one's also using tin copper. Now both of these solar panels do use an MC4 type connector, and when it comes to wire size, the BougeRv uses a 4.0mm cable versus the Renogy uses a 2.5mm cable. And if you happen to know that wire size gauge, leave it down in the comments down below. So now we'll do a little bit of testing on these panels and also an accumulation test, and I'll try to get these at STC, but that's not really optimal because it's not real world conditions, but I do have these out here sitting in the sun so they can both warm up. And if you look at the temperatures on both of these panels, they're very close as far as temperature, maybe only off by about a degree or two, which isn't going to affect the difference of the output. Now what we are going to try to do is make sure that our irradiance is also pretty close. So I got my light meter out, but under the conditions that we are under right now, I may not get the best voltages or at least output numbers with the smoke that's up here in the sky from fires that have been in the North State, and also maybe a couple passing clouds that might be coming by. But I'll show you guys again, you can see the haze, which that's all smoke from fires that happen to be nearby. Now when taking a look at our light meter here, I am still able to get at least over 1000 for our solar irradiance, which is part of the STC standards. But you know, again, that's not real world because your solar panels are outside when it's light, when it's cloudy, but either way, I got them as close as I could, and so we'll do a little testing. So we'll do an open circuit voltage test on the BougeRv panel first, and it's coming out right about 19.8 volts. And then we'll go ahead and do our Renogy panel now. And again, an open circuit voltage test is meaning nothing is hooked up to it. We're just checking the output voltage. And this is coming out right about 24.2 volts. And we'll check it with another meter. That way we can see that both of them are going to be relatively close. That way we know that the testing is somewhat accurate. And as we look, it's 19.8 volts on our second meter. And again, we'll do the Renogy again as well. And I'll try to get this in close so you can see it. Right about 24.1 volts. So now we're going to utilize our Ecoflow Delta Pro, and if you guys are ever looking for these, I do have discounts down below, so don't ever pay full price for anything that's an Ecoflow product, as I always have a discount for these. We'll start with the Renogy solar panel first, and as we take a look at our analyzer here, I'll get a close-up shot so you guys can see. So as we look, we have about 7.6 amps, give or take, and then about 19 volts and about 142 watts. And we're going to go take a look at the power station real quick just to compare the numbers, and then we'll go ahead and hook up the BougeRv panel. So now as we look at our power station, you can see we've lost just a little bit by the time we get into the power station itself, and we're running about 135, maybe 140 watts, give or take. So now we'll take a look at the BougeRv panel, and again I'll zoom in on the analyzer. And as we look at our amperage, you can see our amps are up a little bit higher, but overall the voltage and also the wattage is down just a little bit. And this test was done within about 2 minutes of each other. And so we'll also take a look at the Ecoflow power station just to see how many watts are going in there, and then we'll do another test. So now as we look at the Ecoflow power station, we're right about 125 watts, so about a 5 watt loss between the solar panel analyzer and the power station. So we're going to be doing an accumulation test now using these two load meters. This allows me to set a constant current basically on both of them. That way they draw the same amount of power. As you can see, I have both of them set at 7.5 amps at a constant current. It shows us our voltage, and it'll show us more information too, like accumulated watt hours and more. So between this panel here and also the Renogy panel, if we take a look at this one, you can see 7.5 amps, and it shows us our voltage right off at 24.2, but it looks like I forgot to actually reset some parameters, so I'm going to make it look exactly the same as this one before the test starts. Okay, so I've set both of these up the same, so you can see we're at 7.5 amps, 19.8 volts on the BougeRv, 7.5 amps, and 24.1 volts is what's coming in from the Renogy panel right now. So we're going to let these run about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit more, and we'll check out the overall accumulation. Okay, so I'll zoom in so you guys can see what's going on here. So this is the BougeRv panel, and you can see our voltage is about 16.4. It's holding pretty steady at 7.5 amps at 123 watts, which is the red numbers. And then we'll take a look at the Renogy panel, and you can see we're at about almost 18 volts, and again 7.5 amps and about 10 more watts. And we're going to be focusing in on the purple numbers down low, and then also the small little white numbers. That'll be our accumulation time. And I'll try to make sure I get a good close-in shot so you guys can see what these look like as we get closer towards the end with both of these running. Okay, so we'll take a look at the numbers. It's been just over 20 minutes, and I'll zoom in close so you guys can see what's going on. And so right about 17.2 volts on the BougeRv panel, and still holding 7.5 amps at almost 130 watts. And if we take a look at the watt hours, it's right about 46.9. There we go. Almost 47 watt hours so far at about just over 22 minutes. So now we'll look at the Renogy panel. Come over here, I'll zoom in again. And so you can see our voltage is a little higher, about almost 20 volts, 7.5 amps still. But look at that, 150 watts almost. And now look at our accumulation as far as watt hours. I'll try to get this a little bit more focused for you. Looks like right about 53.1, so about 5 watt hours more than the BougeRv panel has. And we'll go back over to that one here so you can see. So 53.4, and now over at 48. So yeah, definitely a little bit more power and a little bit more accumulation out of the Renogy panel. All right, everyone, what did you think about the test? Also, customer service and warranty is something to be considered when dealing with these two brands. Let me know what you think in the comments, who does it better. And also, if you want to learn more about Ecoflow products or more about solar, check out these two videos right here.